Yeah, hi. Good afternoon. Good to be here today, and thank you to Brahm Centre for arranging and organizing everything and inviting me to give this talk. Right, do let me know if the sound is not so clear. I think I'm not used to wearing this. All right, yeah, it's okay. All right, okay. Hi, so it's quite a small group today, and if I speak too fast, let me know. Okay, yeah, or if anything is not clear, just put up your hand and right? It's a very small group, so just be comfortable and be free to ask questions and don't be scared. Okay. Okay. So I'm a psychiatrist from Ng Teng Fong General Hospital. I've been working in the mental health field for almost 20 years, right? From 2007 actually. Okay. So the topic today is looking after your mental health. Yeah. So mental health is, of course, everybody knows by now, right? It's a very, very important thing. Thing like even the WHO, the World Health Organization from United Nations, right? Um, say something like there is no health without mental health. Yeah, that's how important it is. Imagine that your body is very healthy, you have no medical problems, but mentally you are not feeling good, right? Of course, even if the body is feeling all right, even if you have everything you want in the world, you still cannot enjoy it. Yeah, so that's how important mental health is. Speak a bit louder. Okay, like that. Okay, all right. Okay, now, so is everyone here working as a domestic worker? Okay, okay, right. Yeah, so this is some statistics in Singapore, right? This is from 2024. Yeah. So you can find the documents online. All this information I give actually is available online. So you can just, take note or open your own handphone. That's all right. Okay. So this is Singapore total population, and this is the number of people who are coming to Singapore but not citizens lah. Yeah. This one is PR. Yeah. This one is PR. This is citizen, and this one non-citizen. Yeah. So the non-citizens in Singapore come here for different reasons. All right. So some is to study. Yeah, there's students there, not many, 5% only. And then you got the long-term social visit pass holders, dependent. Yeah, so that's like married to Singaporean kind, right? And then you got people who are on different types of employment pass, S pass, and then work permit and all that. And then there are people who are here as a migrant domestic workers. Okay, to make it a bit short, I will refer as domestic workers or MDW. Okay, it's quite a difficult pronunciation. Okay, now what's the importance to Singapore? The work that you all do is very, very important. Yeah, without your coming here to Singapore working, then there are more Singaporeans who cannot actually go to work because they actually have to stay at home and look after the home. Yeah, so actually what you're doing is very, very important. All right. So it allows Singaporeans to actually go to work, you know. And there are a lot of, uh, Singapore is an aging country, yeah. So there are more and more older people who also need care. Okay. So of course, a lot of people do not like to go to like nursing home, right? Yeah. So they prefer to stay at home. But if they are staying at home, nobody look after them. Their children need to go to work. Then they need someone to look after. Okay, so I think some of you probably look after elderly people also, right? Yeah, so yeah, quite a lot. I see people nodding. So this is indispensable. So what you are doing is very, very appreciated, very, very helpful. All right. And there is a huge number of people in the domestic work in Singapore. Almost 300,000 people. Imagine that. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. And of course, people come from many different countries. Indonesia, Philippines, Myanmar, India, Sri Lanka. Any other country I haven't mentioned? Did I mention everything? Who's not from these countries? Did I miss anyone? No, okay. So all here, eh? Okay. All represented. Okay. So this one quite a busy slide, but let me just explain it, all right? Yeah. Now, systemic network. So we are recognizing that when it comes to mental health, yeah, it is not just about you, okay? You are not the only person that's responsible. It's a whole network of things, all interconnected, all right? So there is the person here. Let's say you are here, right? But then you also depend on your employer. Yeah, a lot of your mental health things will be depending on how your employer treats you as well, correct? Yeah. And your family back home, ah, also important, right? If back home a lot of family problem, of course it will affect you also. Yeah, so it's natural. And then you have your friends here in Singapore, or maybe friends back home also can affect how you feel, affect your mental health, right? If you are married or you have boyfriend, also there, right? So family can mean different things as well. And then even bigger than that are things like government laws. Yeah, there are specific things about the laws and regulations that can affect your well-being as well. Okay, and then employment agencies. Oh, of course, it matters a lot, right? Yeah, and then your own country as well. Yeah, how you were recruited, how you are paying for the fees to come to Singapore. All these matter a lot. Okay, and how much you have to pay back, right? So all these matter a lot. And then NGOs. So Brahm Centre is an NGO. NGO is non-government organization, yeah, volunteer welfare organization that help to look after people who from different areas of life. Okay, so there is Brahm Centre, but there are also some famous ones in Singapore that look after migrant domestic worker. Do you know any? And anyone else other than Brahm Centre? Home, HOME, right? Uh, TWC2, transgender workers come to. Yeah, so these are two of the bigger ones. There are smaller ones coming up, right? So Brahm Centre is also doing this now. So this is the source of this information. Okay, so when we talk about mental health, specifically for domestic workers in Singapore, yeah, so I get this information from this document. It's available online. It's quite an old document. It's from 2015. Okay, I think they are writing a newer version of it, but it's not ready yet. Yeah, so this is from more than 10 years ago. But if you think about it now, still the same or not? Probably, yeah. Uh, so, okay, this is the individual situation of the person, right? These are protective factors. Protective means it will protect you from having mental health difficulties, right? One of them is dignified treatment. That means people treat you well. That's important, isn't it? Yeah, so being treated well by employer is important. And satisfaction, that means you are happy with how your employer treat you as well, right? And things like having your own room is important. Yeah, not everyone is so lucky. I know. I think according to the statistics, about 25% do not have your own room. Yeah, the others do, right? Some have to share with the employer or the elderly person at home or children sometimes. Okay, and integration. So integration means to some extent you are accepted to be there. Yeah, you're accepted to be there. Okay, now let's see about the individual risk factors. Oh, that's a big one. That, yeah, nobody likes to owe people money, right? It is unpleasant to have that, right? Having health problems, yeah, nobody likes that either. Okay, having family concerns and feeling homesick. Yeah, so those are common ones. These are common ones, right? Now, risk factor at the social, yeah. So things like that goes beyond yourself. Communication barrier. If you cannot communicate with your employer, maybe because the language is very different. Yeah, it can make things difficult for you. Okay, and then abuse, of course. No, but this is one of the most awful. So the one with the star means is very important factor. Yeah. So restrictions of communication means now some employer don't allow the helper to have their own phone, to carry their own phone. So that means they cannot call their family back home. It is terrible. Yeah, it's terrible practice. Okay, or you cannot contact your friends or something like that, right? Now, what about protective factors that goes beyond yourself? So things like getting enough sleep, yeah, getting proper food and adequate food, very important. Sleep and food, these are the very, very basic of human needs. Sleep, food, safety, all right? So if you have these three covered, consider yourself already not too bad, okay? So if you don't have these three covered, please do talk to someone, okay? Do tell the Brahm Centre people or even the police sometimes, right? Or at least your employment agency. Okay, then things like medical, dental care, and social connection. Okay, this one is from another paper. So they actually interviewed 182 people, uh, all domestic workers in Singapore, and they find out what is the common causes of stress and what are the common coping strategies that people use. Okay, let's see whether it's the same for you or not. All right. Of course, everyone is different. So if yours is different from this one, that's perfectly okay. Yeah, but these are common ones. So the causes of stress, work and agency. Yeah, common ones, I think. Financial, also common. Yeah, family. Yeah, so these are the three main areas. And then coping strategies. Now we all have stress. Yeah, so your stress, that's the common one. Probably there are other things not mentioned, maybe medical problems, maybe something else, I don't know, right? But how do you cope with the stress? That's also equally important. Yeah, how do people cope with stress? So this is what people report as quite common. Uh, Time for self. Now, what does that mean? Is to have time for you to unwind. So you are not 24/7 always there, always working. You need time for yourself as well. Yeah, even if short breaks, half an hour, 1 hour, you go and shower, you go and talk to your friend, you go and have a chat with your family back home on the phone. So that's time for yourself, right? Then you have your off day. Now there is one off day per month that is compulsory. The employer cannot buy it, yeah, cannot compensate you for it. So that one you must take. It is super important for your mental health, all right? To just have that time to unwind, to switch off from work. Yeah, you just be, whether you are by yourself or you are outside with friends or you are coming here to attend a talk like this. Yeah, but you are away from work. You can just switch off, right? This is a time for you, right? So that is super important. Managing thoughts. I'm going to cover a lot more of this later because I think later you can tell me whether it's correct or not, right? This is super important actually. Yeah. And this is something that you can do for yourself, no matter what your external circumstances are like, right? So religion, important for a lot of people. Maybe not everyone, but a lot of people find it very important. And social support. Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. This one is a very busy slide. I was a bit naughty. I put this in. Okay. I see someone laughing. So, okay. I might not go through every single. Oh, sorry. Oops. I need to go back. Yeah. I may not go through every single lines here, but this is based on two papers studying domestic workers in Singapore. Basically, the researcher talked to the domestic workers and find out what kind of employer you actually have. Employer types, right? Sorry, not just Singapore, but worldwide, actually. Sorry, yeah, this is worldwide, all right, not just Singapore. But the paper I quoted is a Singapore paper. but the information here comes from worldwide. Yeah, because there are people working in Middle East, Dubai, and all that a lot, right? Yeah, Hong Kong, Taiwan, right? So there are people working as domestic workers all over the world, many, right? So they interviewed from around the globe, from around the world. And the Singapore ones also fall into these categories. Maybe there are more, of course, right? But there are specific ways people treat their domestic workers, all right? And some may be good for you, some may not be so good for you, right? Put it that way. Okay, this one, I debated with myself, should I put this slide or not? But I think it is super important. Yeah, this is from the same paper I quoted a bit, right? This from this 2015 white paper. Okay, there are many information there, but I thought this one is super important because it is about human dignity, and this is the most poignant, the most painful question to me. All right, do you feel treated like a human being? Okay, so there are people who reported they never felt they were treated like a human being, almost 5%, right? And sometimes only rarely. Okay, so these three category, then so about 18%, 18% in 2015, yeah, of the sample that they interviewed, about 18% felt they only sometimes or never felt they were treated like a human being. I think that is a big one, right? Okay, let's talk about in general, what are the job demands of migrant domestic worker? Okay, so long working hours, I think this one we all know, eh? Okay, long hours, depending, everyone is different, I think, a different family, employer situation, right? Power imbalance, yeah. For a lot of people, being a domestic worker means you are at the mercy of your employer. You don't have much bargaining power. Okay, and that is something that can be very scary, very threatening, very vulnerable. Okay, heavy workload, yeah, of course, it's a lot. Okay? Although of course with experience, people might find the work a bit easier over time because you get better at it. Yeah, which is why I think Brahm Centre also conducts some courses like cooking courses and all that. Hopefully it can help your work a little bit also, right? Language barrier again, isolation, yeah? Not just homesickness, but sometimes just not having anyone to talk to, because not everyone has many friends. Some people don't have many friends in Singapore, so they can be isolated, even if they have the time off, right? Emotional demands, yeah, this is sometimes looking after elderly people not easy. Yeah, some can be quite critical, some can be quite demanding, some might scold you, right? Looking after children also not easy. Yeah. Okay. So looking after sick people not easy, right? Those are emotional demands. Okay, but we have to remember it's got to be balanced. So you have the job demands, you have the things that are difficult for you, difficult for your job, right? And by the way, this applies to every job, not just domestic worker. This concept applies for any kind of job, right? There are always demands. What you need to do at work, yeah, how many hours you need to work, how difficult it is, what are the risks, right? What are the consequences of making a mistake or something like that. So those are all job demands. And of course, by itself, it can impair your health or your mental health. Too much demand, too tiring. People get stressed, people get burnt out, people get exhausted, yeah? And you don't feel good about your job. Yeah? But we also can have job resources. And again, every kind of job will have this as well. Yeah. So this is a kind of things at work, no matter how small, but the kind of things at work that you find that it actually gives your life meaning or gives your work meaning. Yeah. or even if it is just, okay, I'm working in Singapore so that I can earn some money to send home to my family, that is meaningful. That is meaningful. Yeah. Or even maybe your employer normally critical, but one day say, oh, actually, today you cook fish very nice. That is also meaningful. So, okay, so stuff like that. Or maybe you realize your employer's children actually are quite attached to you. Some people can find that meaningful as well. Yeah. So okay, so that's meaning empowerment. That means you feel like you have choices sometimes. There are things that you can decide on, things you can do, right? And you feel engaged with your work. So again, every kind of work will have this, no matter how small, right? So these are what we call motivational process. It makes you feel better, makes you feel good about your work, right? Makes it meaningful for you. Yeah. But again, recognizing that there are many, many factors outside yourself, yeah, that hopefully can help a little bit. Okay. So autonomy is that understanding that you have choices. Yeah, you have choices in life, right? Not just about your work, but in life in general, right? There's things like social network, training opportunities, having a supportive employer, having legal protection, right? And ability to communicate. This is in an ideal scenario lah. I think for a lot of us, we cannot say that we have all of the above. Yeah, but every little bit matters. Mm. Okay, and then we have this thing in mental health, right? We have this understanding of locus of control. What does that mean? So earlier we talked a lot about the internal factors and the external factors. Yeah, external. Now people often think that they cannot control anything in life. Everything is always because of circumstances, right? It's because of this, then I do that. Because of this, then I do that. People like that, we say that they have a very external locus of control. They feel they are not in control in of their own lives. You know, they don't have choices in life, and sometimes they just make it like as if it is the circumstances, yeah, that's causing them to do certain things or not do certain things. However, while even under the same situation, right, same kind of challenges, some people might have a slightly higher internal locus of control. That means you have a bit more sense of autonomy. You have a bit more sense of I have choices. Yeah, I can do this. I can do that. I can choose not to do this. I can choose not to do that. Right? Even if that choice is quitting your job, it is still a choice. Remember, right? So, okay, but that gives you a sense of control in your life. Okay, now this one is from the Christian tradition, but I think it is probably applicable to any kind of religion. You probably heard of it. It's quite popular in Singapore among people of any religion, right? Which is to basically ask for the powers that be. Can be God, can be anyone, can be anything else. Yeah, powers outside yourself to grant me serenity. What is serenity? Is the calmness, the peace and calmness, right? To accept things I cannot change. There are things you cannot change. Eh? Like you cannot change your age, you cannot change how old you are, you cannot change your gender. I mean, you're born female. You can change your gender, all right? But it's a complicated issue. Okay, but to accept things I cannot change. If you have some kind of illness, you accept that you have it. Yeah. And the courage to change the things that I can. Right? So, and the wisdom to know the difference. Right? So, like that. Okay, now from here on, this is like the second half, I think. Let me just check the. Oh, okay. I need to check the time actually. No, I can see it over there. Yeah. Good. Okay. From here on is going to be mostly about communication. Yeah. So these are the mental factors. These are the mental factors and the things that you can learn. Hopefully, you can learn to apply for yourself to make things a bit easier for yourself. All right. Even if the external situation never change. Yeah, but internally, hopefully it can give you a bit of a sense of control and more choices. Okay. So a lot of words here, but basically, the way people communicate, right? In this kind of thing, can be divided into three. Yeah. Now I think aggressive, we all know lah, huh? It's when people are being critical, scolding, yeah, or being judgmental of the whole person, just blaming you completely, that kind of thing. And sometimes even calling you bad names, right? So those are abusive kind of statements or stuff like that. Now, as a domestic worker, you may feel like you can't do anything if your employer does that to you. You have no power, right? But you imagine if this kind of thing happens outside, yeah? If someone goes to the coffee shop and starts scolding someone else, what will happen? Fight, right? Yeah, sometimes people report got fight in coffee shop and all that. Start with all this. Okay, I'm not teaching you all to fight now. Okay, there is a better way. There is a better way. Okay. Now, consider the other thing that people often do, right? Which is called passive aggressive. Now, passive aggressive means you are actually unhappy. You're actually angry and unhappy, but you cannot express it. Yeah? You are forced to keep quiet. Okay? So what happened in this kind of case? People often become very indirect. They hide. They hide. They are not open. They hide. Yeah? And sometimes, not always, but sometimes people can do other things as a way of hiding also. Being dishonest or being manipulative. Yeah? And sometimes people might feel victimized, like feel, oh, everything, my life is so terrible, or this one is all this person's fault, right? It is not just in the matter of being a domestic helper, but in any kind of relationship in life. In other words, your boss, if they are working in Singapore, right, might face this kind of situation at work also. Correct or not? It can happen to anyone. Yeah, can happen to anyone. All right. But basically, what happens in this kind of scenario is that uh, there is resentment. Resentment is a kind of anger, but is kept quiet. Yeah, which can build slowly, slowly, slowly build until one day it explodes. Right? Now, when it explodes, really bad things can happen sometimes. Yeah. So that's the kind of scenario that can happen. But even if it never explodes, the person also very unhappy. You know, they are really unhappy. Yeah. And this kind of unhappiness sometimes can affect your physical health as well. Not just mental health, but physical health as well. Okay. So what's the alternative? Okay. So later we'll talk a bit about what we call assertive communication. Now this can sound very scary. Yeah, this can sound very scary. And I don't want to give a false promise to say that this will solve every problem in your life. It's not like that. Okay? Sometimes there is still the external factor, how the other person take it, how the other person responds to you when you try to use this. Okay? Which you have to be able to read. You have to be able to see their reaction as well. But at least you have the choice, hopefully, to employ these kind of things if needed, right? So what's the benefits of assertive communication? It is very open and clear. Yeah. Now, sometimes there is a bit of a cultural factor as well. I know in some culture, I'm from Indonesia, by the way, so I grew up in Indonesia. It's not very direct. Nobody is direct. You know, everyone always talks around. Yeah? You heard the term yes man before? Yeah. Um, in bahasa Indonesia is asal bapak senang or asal ibu senang, right? So means as long as you're happy. Yeah, I'll just say yes. Whatever you ask me, I'll just say yes. Yeah, doesn't matter. I'm not happy, right? As long as you are happy. Yeah. So I think it's probably quite common in this part of the world in Southeast Asia. I think it's quite common for females especially, right? So it's not very open. It's not very open. You're actually not happy, but you say, yeah, fine. Yeah. Okay, and that can go into this direction eventually, right? So we'll see whether it is a possibility in some aspects of life to be more open. Okay, now I find when I came here, Singaporeans are a lot more open actually. Yeah, they can go a bit to the aggressive side, but they're actually very open, right? Or more so than my own culture, you know. So it can be a cultural factor as well. Okay, but, now what's the benefit? You can maintain boundaries. We'll talk about boundaries a little bit later, right? And in terms of conflict, usually being open and honest and direct um, is the most effective way to handle it. Okay, now this one some people might have seen before. It's called the parent adult child. Now these are not real parent adult or child, but this is our own way of operating inside ourselves. In your own mind, when you talk to someone else, you are always taking one of these roles. You heard of this before? Yeah, it's quite popular in maybe 20, 30 years ago, quite a while ago, in pop psychology and all that even. Yeah, but the idea is this: um, we all grew up from children to adults, right? Yeah, and in childhood, we were used to be treated in a certain way. Maybe you're very lucky and your parents very nice to you, right? So you got a nurturing parent. Yeah. Later, when you become an adult, it's a lot easier for you to become nurturing as well. You absorb your parents' behavior into yourself. Okay? Now consider the opposite. If your parents were very scary, always scold you, always criticize you, what kind of adult are you going to grow up into? You're going to do that as well. Yeah, now you are the parent. Even if you don't have children, right? Sometimes even with friends, we can have this kind of relationship. Like, like being critical of our friends. Why are you doing like that? So, so now consider employer employee very often end up in this scenario. Yeah, not just your ma'am or your sir, but even your ma'am, your sir at work also get into this kind of situation. Okay, and you yourself with your own children or with your friends or sometimes even terbalik, upside down. Once you grow up, you treat your parents like children, and you become the parent. Then you scold your parent. Oh, cannot eat too much sugar, cannot eat too much salt. Okay? Okay, so that can be copied. Of course, we also recognize that sometimes this kind of critical behavior comes from a desire to be caring. You want to care for your parents, but they are very naughty, always eat sugar. So you scold them. Okay, so it's a bit like that. Now, if you got parent, you must have a child role as well. Yeah. So consider yourself. If you get scolded, how you feel. Okay? And there are different types of children. Some children will talk back. You know? Yeah, some children, no, it's not true. We'll argue back, right? But some children will scared. Don't want to talk. Oh, so sad. Or cry. Right? Yeah, yeah. So there are different kinds of children. And sometimes in this kind of heated scenario where you receive challenge from the outside, from the parent role, someone else with a parent role approaching you, and depending on what kind of parent role it is, you might respond with the opposite. Yeah. So the scary parent maybe scared child, the nurturing parent then maybe loving child, right? So it can happen in opposites like that. Yeah. So you might play that role as well in your everyday relationship, even with friends, even with family, with your employer, with anybody, right? Now, what about adult role? This is the kind of behavior or thoughts and feelings that are responding to the what's actually happening to reality in that sense. Yeah, what's actually happening in the here and now. And this is the most rational one, basically. Yeah. So in a conflict situation, which role should you take? MCQ, multiple choice question. Do you want to be the parent, the child? No. adult, right? Anyway, that's supposedly the most effective lah. I think it depends on the situation. Sometimes you might be forced to take on certain roles. Yeah, sometimes the scenario can be like that. But do know that you always have the choice to take on the adult role, right? So understanding this can sometimes, and not always, can actually help in how your past experiences, your growing up years, actually shape you as a person. How you respond now in the present is the result of how you were treated sometimes when you were a child. Okay? But also, when you understand this, then you understand you also have a choice to step into the adult role. No matter what happened in the past, yeah, you have this choice now. Okay? And hopefully it can be helpful in difficult situations sometimes. Okay, boundaries. Yeah, wow, very busy slide. This one I use AI to do. Okay, so boundaries, it's not physical boundaries, although that also matters. Yeah, so earlier we talked about privacy, right? Privacy is having your own room, no recording devices inside. By the way, your employer cannot put CCTV and all that in your personal spaces, okay? So all this, so there is physical boundaries, but there are also emotional boundaries, mental boundaries, yeah, apart from physical boundaries. Some might even add time boundaries. Like when it is time for you to be off work, you have to be off work, you know? Yeah. So that's the kind of thing. So in a sense, it is respecting yourself as well. Yeah. So first, that recognition that I deserve this, this is my right, has to come from yourself sometimes, right? So now, what about emotional boundaries? Okay, I'll cover this a bit later. So why it matters? Okay, self-respect and clear expectations. Yeah. Sometimes people live in such situations where if the boundary doesn't come from them, if they don't start um, asserting the boundaries, nobody is going to respect it for them. Yeah, very common in some families as well. Not just in domestic worker situation, but in home, at home, in families. Yeah. So clear expectations. I think one of the common ones in Singapore is sometimes, and this I hear a lot from my patients in the clinic, right? So nothing specific, not being recognized. It happens a lot, okay? Sometimes the children grow up already, like in their 30s, 40s even, but still not allowed to lock the room. Yeah, so that's an example where there are poor physical boundaries. So the parents can just enter the room. The children, 30-year-old already, parents just okay. So that's poor recognition of physical boundaries, right? Yeah. So yeah. So this kind of boundaries sometimes can end up as what we call toxic dynamics lah. Yeah. So very enmesh kind of relationship. Okay. So how to set it? Later we talk about it. Whether it is successful or not guaranteed, but at least you know there is such a possibility lah. It is not about being selfish. I think that's another concern that people have. Yeah, saying no is really for your own self-care in a lot of cases, and protecting your own well-being. Now, it is very common again in family situation all over Asia, maybe all over the world, that people actually try to protect someone else or try to uh, be a lot more caring towards someone else than towards themselves. Yeah, and that is not a healthy situation. All right, I always tell my patients this: when you take an airplane, if you are in an airplane and there is a drop in oxygen level, and then all the masks come down right from the ceiling. Hopefully, it never happened to any of you. It's very scary if it happens, right? Because you'll be thinking, oh no, is it going to crash? But in that kind of situation, when you need to put on an oxygen mask, you have, and they always teach you this in airplanes, right? You always have to put on your own mask first. You cannot help other people. You're going to die, and then Okay, so you put on your mask first, then you can breathe, and then you help other people. Okay? And so that's part of emotional boundaries as well. Right? So you need to protect your own well-being first. When I went for some mindfulness courses overseas, there is this lady from she's like an American Indian basically. Yeah, so American, a Native American. I think the proper term is Native American. And she told me that in her tradition, she grew up in the reservations. Yeah, so very difficult kind of situations. Um, and it is super, super important. As an adult, she learned that you actually need to do that first. Because in places where life is very difficult, and very often, again, females, usually females are trained from young to take care of other people first, then to take care of themselves, right? So this you have to keep reminding yourself sometimes. Oh, the way she explained it to me is like, if you imagine you are a well, yeah, you are a well like the hole in the ground with the water inside. If you are dry, that means you got no water. Nobody, you cannot give water to anyone. Yeah, you have to fill up your well first before you can give water to other people. All right? So it's something like that. Now, emotional boundaries is like this. Um, okay, maybe I don't choose example from parents or okay, friend lah. All right? Say you have a very good friend. You have a very good friend. And then your friend broke up with the boyfriend. Right? Then very sad. Right? Yeah. Can you see the sadness as belonging to her and don't take it in upon yourself? Most people can. With friends, strangely, we can do that. Yeah, we can have quite clear boundaries with friends usually. But now imagine this is your husband or your boyfriend. Then we lose all sense of boundaries. Maybe our husband or boyfriend lost their job or have money problem. Yeah, somehow we are a lot more affected. Yeah, we take on their pain into us. All right, and that is actually affecting our mental health as well. And in that kind of situation, is it going to be better for the two of you to be like that? Maybe after that you get depressed because the other person is depressed, then you get depressed also, and then not easy, right? Yeah. So this is why boundaries are important also. Yeah? So we appreciate that we are all human beings, and each of us can have our own suffering. We carry our own suffering. Yeah. Each one carry your own. You don't take on somebody else's and make it yours. You don't take on make it yours. No, then you carry, then you flat down already. Okay? So you don't do that, right? Okay, so okay. This one I was also wondering if I should put this in. So this is a very basic version of assertive communication. It's almost like just memorize the sentence and fill in the blanks, right? When you okay, I feel Okay, now think about the worst quarrel you ever had, maybe with your parents or with your boyfriend or with your husband. What kind of words come out? You always do this. You always you don't love me, right? We often start with the word you. You do this, you do that. You make me sad. You hate me. You did, you da, right? No, but in assertive communication, we start with I feel. Yeah. And the you here is, okay, I should put it the other way around actually, make it more clear what I'm saying. But the you here actually is a factual statement. Yeah. So when you uh, talk to your female ex-classmate that you haven't seen for 5 years, and you seem to be very happy talking to her. So when you talk to that person, I feel, then you describe your own feeling. I feel what? Insecure. I feel angry. I feel not confident. I feel disrespected. This is yours. Yeah. So you take ownership. You take ownership of your emotions, right? Um, because this one optional, but in future, then you specify or openly state what is your wish. What is your wish? Whether your wish is granted or not, whether it happens or not, that's beside the point. But in your mind, you are clear. This is how I feel, and I feel like this because this happened, and in future, I want this to happen instead. Right? So clear. So that's the formula. All right. Now applied to maybe family member or employer. When you scream at me because I didn't open the door fast enough. Yeah. Scream at me is a factual statement. Right? It happened. So it is a factual statement. When you scream at me because I didn't open the door fast enough, I felt or I feel very hurt in this case. Yeah. Because, okay, I didn't do it on purpose. I was in the kitchen. But in future, I hope you could give me feedback in a gentle way. So this is one example of doing it. Okay. However you use it is very specific to your situation. And who you choose to use this statement with is entirely up to you. All right? But there is such an option of speaking like this to someone else in a very polite, very respectful way. Yeah? So in other words, and I don't have a slide for the next thing I'm going to say, but this is super important. All right? Your emotions and your behavior are different things. Okay? In other words, you can be angry. You can feel anger. You can be really angry, right? But it doesn't mean that you have to shout. It doesn't mean you have to throw things at people. It doesn't mean you have to hit people, right? So action, hitting, throwing, shouting, actions are different from emotions, which is happening internally, right? So different things. Need to be very, very clear about this. Actually, I feel this should be taught in school. Maybe they do actually. In school, I don't know. Yeah. Okay, then more about difficult scenarios, accepting feedback. Sure, everyone got feedback before, right? Yeah, I also have. Okay, so it's never easy to be told that we are doing something wrong, right? Never easy for anyone, even for me, right? But if we can take the feedback constructively, it can be a very positive way for you to grow, essentially. Yeah. And grow means becoming a better person for who? Who do you want to be a better person for? 3 questions. For yourself, right? You do things for yourself first, remember? Yeah, do things for yourself first. Okay, so tips to accept feedback, just quick and dirty one. Don't react too quickly, listen first, all right? Slow down, take a deep breath, slow down. If you've been to Brahm Centre mindfulness training, take a deep breath, okay? Sense your feet, root yourself, sense your body. You don't have to move, you don't have to act right now, just stay still, all right? So don't react, keep your emotions down first. You can recognize emotion, but you don't have to react to it. Yeah, that's the other thing. If there is a misunderstanding, you can calmly and rationally correct it. Okay, if you have the opportunity to do so. And if you get a feedback, doesn't mean everything about you is wrong. It could be just one simple thing. Yeah, you could get 90% correct or 95% correct, just got 5% mistake. It could be the case. You don't know yet. So keep an open mind. Yeah. And don't take it personally. It is not about who you are. It is not whether, it's not about you. It's just about a behavior. Yeah, it's about something you do or didn't do. That's all. And of course, all this is a lot easier if you are treated with respect. Yeah. And unfortunately, not everybody knows how to give feedback in a constructive way. So you have to take that into account as well. Right? So taking a deep breath and just listen first. Yeah, don't react. Okay, if needed, of course, and if negotiation is open, then of course you can try. You can do that, if appropriate. Okay, now this is an old slide I made from a mindfulness course last time. So this all came from the mindfulness thing. What does this mean? Very often you can, is this easy to do or not? Yeah, I see people nodding. Okay, very good. You guys have been doing your mindfulness practices. Okay, it is easy to do if you actually practice mindfulness or similar things like that. Yeah, so you are always aware what's happening in your mind, what's happening in your body. Makes a lot of things easier. Otherwise, you would just react. You would just react. It's automatic. Yeah. No. All right. So, how do you do that? And why it is important also? Okay, so that's a different point. This one actually, I'm trying to illustrate another point. Um, have you realized that sometimes when you're doing other things, maybe you're cooking, right? Nobody disturbing you, nobody shouting at you, all right? Or you are vacuuming the floor, right? But the mind is just busy, 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 making it painful for you. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, maybe thinking about the last quarrel with your husband, or the last quarrel with your boyfriend, or the time when your employer scolded you unfairly, or something like that. So the mind has its own way to get stuck in painful memories. It is true. It is true. There is actually research on that. Okay, I'll show you. It's quite funny. Yeah, this one. It's called the negativity bias. The bad stuff sticks longer and harder. The good stuff less so, all right? Which means if you are married or in a relationship, you need to do the nice stuff 5 times more often than the bad stuff. Yeah, so that it balances out. Okay, hopefully more than that lah. Yeah. But the mind is like that. It's just like that. Yeah. Some people argue that it is like that because it helps with our survival. Last time when human beings are still living in the wilds, get chased by lions and other wild animals, you know, you have to remember where the lion is living at. You know, oh, that cave got a lion there. Then I don't pass by because I know it's dangerous. Yeah, so the negative actually stay. Maybe you see your friend got getting attacked by the lion. It stays in your mind. Stays in your mind. The mind is like that. It's for survival last time. Okay. Now, humans don't live in places where there are lions all over the place. But what are the lions in our lives now? People criticizing, those are the lions now. Eh? So, but it still sticks on. Yeah, so it's like that. Okay, and that is an automatic process. Yeah, so when you are doing things, mopping the floor, vacuuming, cooking, your hands are doing things, right? But your mind is free, right? Yeah, and the mind will automatically do all these things. Oh, do all this rubbish, right? That actually hurts you. And this has been shown also in this kind of experiments. Yeah. So mind wandering is unpleasant. When the mind is let loose, is just left on its own devices, running around on its own, it will tend to stick to the bad stuff, and it is unpleasant, right? Uh, However, if you are actually not allowing your mind to do that, and how do you do that? Again, mindfulness, right? So when you are mopping, you know, I'm mopping right now. I'm moving my arms, okay? I'm breathing. So that's being mindful. What what's happening in the present moment? Or if you are thinking, you can be thinking about bad stuff, no problem. Yeah, but you are aware. Oh, I'm thinking about bad stuff right now. That's being mindful. Yeah, so you have awareness of that. Then it's not painful. It's not unpleasant anymore. Right? So it's like that. Okay. However, we also know that the mind can be very, very easy to sway, can be easily affected. So it can be affected to the bad stuff, right? A lot easier to go to bad stuff, but you also have the power to shift it to the good stuff. Yeah. And how do people do that? Many, many different ways. You can think about some pleasant memories you have. Yeah. You can think about what hopes you have in future. I think in one of the papers I read about the Singapore domestic workers, some people talk about their dreams in future. Oh, I'm going to Canada to become a chef or something like that. I'm saving money so that I can do this in my future. Yeah, so those kind of things can be pleasant for some people as well, or at least make them feel good, right? And in some control of their life. But there are also things like deliberately. talking positively to yourself. Yeah, it may or may not work depending on where you are in life or what's happening in your life. But for a lot of people, it does work. Okay, so you can remind yourself, I am a strong and confident person. Yeah, or use a phrasing or sentence that's good for you, that's suitable for you. Right? I stand up for what I believe in. Right? Or my thoughts, feelings, and emotions are important. Yeah, I'm important to myself. I can be kind to myself. Yeah? I can learn to be kind to myself. I am responsible, but also I'm responsible to in the way I behave and how I feel. And I can speak up in an appropriate way, in a respectful way to get what I need. Okay, so again, this is quite separate from whether it's actually happening or not. Yeah, but you can have this kind of thoughts in your mind and hopefully it can help a little bit. All right, so after so many letters and words, now you can look at the picture and how do you feel? Yeah, you can sense some nice feeling. Yeah, so even something as simple as a picture projected on the screen can produce that feeling. Yeah, I'm sure your phone all inside got nice pictures also. Maybe of your family, maybe of your pets, maybe of something that's meaningful for you. And you can use even those pictures or even your favorite songs, right? A lot of people have it on the phone, favorite songs and all that can produce pleasant feelings for you as well. So again, that is another way to shift from unpleasant to pleasant, which is hopefully under your control. Yeah. Okay. So I don't know if I put it here, but okay. I think I didn't put it here, but gratitude is also important. Yeah, a lot of people who are religious, especially, probably are very familiar with it. Just to be grateful of what we already have. Okay, so not to say it in a preachy way, I hope. That's not my intention. But let me tell you a story about the modern mindfulness practice, like this John Kabat-Zinn, the so-called father of mindfulness, modern mindfulness, right? So in the 1970s, he started teaching these classes, mindfulness practices, not the religious kind, but just the practices itself. He started teaching it in hospital. And the people who are attending his courses actually are cancer patients. Yeah, so they already have cancer. They are in a lot of pain. Of course, they feel sad, they feel worried, right? So that's again natural. And through the practices, they realize that, hey, whatever is happening to me is the cancer is still there. It doesn't mean that you practice mindfulness, the cancer is gone. It doesn't work like that, right? So the cancer is still there, but they are a lot less worried about it. They are a lot less sad about it. They no longer react to the external situations as much, right? And they also found that, he used to tell the patients, right, who come to his classes, and bear in mind they are cancer patients, right? If you are able to come here and sit in the class to listen to me, there is more right than wrong with you. Makes sense? That means you are still able to hear, you are still able to understand what is being said. Yeah. I don't know how many of them were still able to walk or not, but I'm sure all of you can walk, right? You have your arms, you have your legs, we are alive. No? Yeah. So there is that. There is that idea that no matter what, you are here, you are present. Okay. So more right than wrong. Remember that. Yeah. Okay. I don't know if I have time for. Is the clock accurate? It's 2 plus. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I was thinking if there is time, let me check. Okay, this one later. No problem. No more already. Okay. Okay, now this one is an invitation. You don't have to do it unless you want to give it a try. But it's called the self-compassion break. All right, it's a bit different from the plain mindfulness thing that is just being aware, right? Mindfulness, being aware of the present moment, sensations, thoughts, emotions. So this one is a bit more than that. And it can be a little bit challenging for some people, right? But if you are curious about it, do give it a try. If you don't want to try, just close your ears. Okay, so probably about 5 minutes only. Okay. Anytime you don't feel comfortable, just stop the exercise. You can go to the toilet, wash your face, walk around, right? You can make a phone call, anything, right? So feel free to do that. But if you want to give it a try, essentially, this is an exercise to learn to give ourselves some kindness, right? The world is not an easy place these days. I think a lot of people are struggling, and that is the reality. Yeah. So allow yourself to just sit here right now in this moment, just sitting, just noticing. So this one is still the plain mindfulness stuff, right? So just noticing how your body is sitting, your backside is against the chair, your back is maybe you can lean back, that's fine. You want to sit up straight, no problem. Either one is fine, right? But just notice what your body wants to do. Just be in a relaxed, comfortable position. And noticing our feet, our hands. Oh, and if at any time you feel a little bit ungrounded or you need to settle yourself quickly, you can just notice sensations over your feet or your hands also. Those can be very, very helpful. Okay, or your breath, when you breathe in, you can notice that. Breathing out, you can notice that as well. Okay. Then you can bring to mind, just open the invitation. So invite yourself to think about something that is difficult for you. Okay. Now, this is a short, simple exercise. So don't think about the worst thing that ever happened to you. All right. Just something simple. Yeah. Something not too difficult, but a little bit difficult. And once you have that in your mind, just explore it a little bit. Allow yourself to explore it a little bit. If it was a conversation, what was being said, who was saying what did you say, what did you wish you had said, right? Or whatever is happening already happened because this is past. Yeah, this is already past. But you are just inviting the memory in your mind to allow yourself to feel a little bit uncomfortable. And then you can acknowledge that feeling to yourself. You don't have to say it out loud, just in your mind, recognizing that feeling that this is a moment of discomfort. It doesn't feel good. Might even say this is a moment of suffering, right? It doesn't feel good. That's how it feels like. It's not good. It's not a nice feeling. And just recognize that for yourself. This is how it feels for things to be difficult for me. You can give yourself some affirmations like, yeah, I can see this is really difficult for me. This is really unpleasant for me. I'm struggling. It's tough. It's hard. It's not easy. Just allow yourself to accept that this is hard. This is difficult. It's unpleasant. So that's the first step. Allowing ourselves to be aware or to be open to the feeling of being uncomfortable, of what is called this moment of suffering. Okay, then the second phrase is to recognize that I am not alone in this. many people in the world, practically everyone, has experienced suffering as well. Maybe in different forms, in different ways, in different levels of severity. But even here in this room, there are probably many that have experienced similarly unpleasant things. I'm not alone in this. And it is normal to feel like this. It is not abnormal. It is normal for me as a human being to feel this moment of suffering. Then the last step. So the invitation is open to you to give yourself also a moment of kindness, to simply realize that you can be kind towards yourself. If it helps, you can imagine offering the same sense of kindness to a friend, to someone you know closely who's also experiencing similar challenges or similar difficulties. How would you comfort them? What words would you say? I'm really sorry this happened to you. I know it is difficult. And it will get better. It can get better. And if it feels comfortable for you, you can use your hand. Just place it on your chest. Yeah. Or on your shoulder. You can try different areas. Cheek, shoulder, neck, right? Or just simply hug yourself with both arms. Feel the warmth. Feel the warmth from your own hands, right? Feel the warmth. Yeah. You can pat yourself gently. Feel the warmth and the gentleness through your own hands, right? And feeling that, offering yourself words or sentences that help yourself to feel that kindness from within yourself. And knowing that this is something you can offer yourself anytime when you have privacy, when you have space for yourself, and when you don't feel good, essentially. Knowing that whatever we can offer to another person, if we can do this to a friend, yeah, if you can do this to a friend or to a child or to a sister, you can offer the same for yourself as well. Because just as who they are, your sister, your friend, your daughter, your son, you also deserve this kindness and compassion, just like they do. Mm. So we can leave the practice here now, and you can just allow yourself to settle back into sensations or thoughts or emotions in the present moment and being as you are now. Just taking a few moments, and you can move your arms, your legs, rub yourself. And I know Brahm Centre likes to make you dance. So Navin could lead the dance now. Okay. All right. Okay, so this one, this is a very, very quick version, yeah, without that one was a bit long. Yeah, so that was about 5 minutes just now. Is what we call a self-compassion break. This one is called rain. It's a very quick one. This one is very quick. So you just recognize what's happening. Like now, what is happening? Yeah, just take a snapshot of your mental state. Okay, what's happening to me right now? I'm sitting like this. I'm feeling like this. I have this kind of thought in my mind. Tick, tick, tick. Okay, done. So recognize, right? And allow. So allowing, yeah, similar to just now, but just now was very specific. Just now was specific to unpleasant things, right? This one, allow whatever is happening. If you feel happy now, allow it. You feel happy now. You feel neutral now, allow it. You feel neutral now, right? You feel sad now, allow it. Yeah, it's already here. It's already here. So just allow whatever is happening in the present to be felt, to be sensed, right? Now investigate. So this is what's happening. This is how it feels like to be A, B, C, D, E. To feel like this, to feel like that. Yeah? Just being curious about it, being open about it, just noticing things. And then you nurture. You give your own mind, give yourself a hug. Yeah? You can do it physically, or you can just do it in your mind. How does that feel to hug yourself without your hands? Right? You can learn to do that. Okay, so yeah. So remember, emotions are neither good or bad. They just are. They're like the rain, like that. Sometimes it's raining, sometimes it's dry. It's just emotions happening in the moment. But if they are unrecognized, if you don't acknowledge them, if you just push them aside every time, then it can grow and become a lot more unpleasant. Yeah? So remembering just recognizing it, but you don't have to act on it, other than just giving yourself the compassion and kindness. First to feel it, and then give the kindness. So, okay? Yeah. Okay, so last slide already. So we have time, maybe about 15 minutes, 10 minutes to ask questions or anything you want to ask. Doesn't have to be from the presentation. Otherwise, I will invite Naveen to dance. Questions? You want to go back to any slides?